One word, that's all it took. Not a touchdown, not a depth chart update, not even a coaching decision. Just one word at a press conference, and suddenly the temperature inside the Cleveland Browns quarterback room shot up 10 degrees. Entertainers. That's what rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel said after a preseason outing that included a pick six and a fumble on a botched exchange. He followed it up with, "There are entertainers and there are competitors. My job is to compete." Now maybe that sounds harmless on the surface. Maybe it was just a young quarterback trying to define his mindset after a messy moment. But context is everything. Because in that locker room sits Shedeur Sanders, one of the most talked about rookies in football, a player who's been labeled everything from flashy to media-made long before he ever took an NFL snap. So when you say entertainer in the middle of a quarterback battle, that word doesn't float around the room. It lands somewhere. Gabriel tried to clarify later. He said he meant the media are entertainers, not Shedeur. He insisted it wasn't a shot. But here's the thing about quarterback competitions. Perception moves faster than clarification. And once a narrative catches traction, you don't get to rewind it. Because this isn't just about microphones and post-game quotes. This is about hierarchy. It's about who commands the huddle. It's about who owns the moment when the spotlight flips on. And let's not ignore the timing. This came after Gabriel's stat line included 2 turnovers. Meanwhile, Shedeur's preseason debut, clean, efficient, 2 touchdowns, 0 giveaways, calm under pressure. So now the question is just, what did he mean? The real question is, why say it at all? Was it a calculated edge in a tight competition? A rookie slip under pressure? Or something deeper, a clash between old-school football identity and the modern quarterback who embraces both cameras and competition? Because in today's NFL, you don't just compete on Sundays. You compete for perception every single day. Let's strip away the quotes for a second and look at the one thing coaches care about most, the film. Because narratives can be debated, body language can be interpreted, but touchdowns and turnovers, those are black and white. Shedeur Sanders stepped into his preseason opportunity and delivered exactly what you want from a young quarterback fighting for position. 14 completions on 23 attempts, 157 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, no panic throws, no forced hero ball. He looked composed. He stepped into pressure. He commanded the huddle like he'd been there before. That's not hype, that's tape. Now flip to Gabriel. 13 of 18, 144 total yards. On paper, that looks efficient. 8 of his first 9 passes were sharp. Rhythm was there early. Timing looked smooth. But then came the pick six, the kind of throw that freezes a quarterback room when the film rolls back in meetings. Add in the botched handoff credited as a fumble, and suddenly the stat sheet shifts tone. 2 turnovers in a quarterback battle is not a footnote, it's a flashing light. And this is where the entertainer versus competitor comment gets louder. Because if you're positioning yourself as the steady, all-business competitor in the room, the expectation rises instantly. The margin for error shrinks. You don't get to separate yourself philosophically and then give the ball away twice. That's why fans connected dots so quickly. Not because Gabriel had a bad game, he didn't implode, but because in tight competitions, clean matters more than flashy. Protecting the ball matters more than starting hot. Coaches will live with a punt. They won't live with a giveaway. So now the scoreboard, not social media, quietly leans in one direction. Touchdowns, Sanders. Turnovers, Gabriel. And in August, when depth charts are fragile and roster math gets tight, that difference isn't small. But this battle isn't just about numbers. Because the real tension isn't living in the stat column. It's living in perception. Here, what most fans miss about quarterback battles, perception is part of the evaluation. not social media perception, not fan polls, locker room perception. When you're competing for a job, every word either builds trust or chips at it. And once that entertainer versus competitor line hit the airwaves, it didn't just stay in the press conference room. It traveled. Teammates saw it. Coaches heard it. Veterans definitely clocked it. And perception spreads fast in an NFL building. Because leadership at quarterback isn't only about arm talent. It's tone. It's awareness. It's knowing when to speak and when silence is smarter. If Gabriel meant nothing by the comment, the cleanest move would have been to say it once, clarify calmly, and move on. Instead, there was a quick pivot, a soft correction, a reframing toward the media. That's what made people lean forward. If there was no target, why the urgency to adjust? Now let's be fair. Rookies aren't polished at podiums. Emotions run high. And this isn't college anymore. Every sentence gets dissected. So yes, it could have been a slip. But timing makes everything louder. In a quarterback competition, words don't float. They land somewhere. And here's the deeper layer. The NFL used to pretend personality and performance couldn't coexist. The old-school mindset loves quiet quarterbacks. Blend in. Keep it boring. Don't draw attention. Shedeur Sanders doesn't fit that mold. He grew up around cameras. He's comfortable in spotlight spaces. But comfort in front of microphones doesn't cancel production on the field. And that's where the narrative shifts. Because when you throw 2 touchdowns and protect the football, the entertainer label starts sounding outdated. In today's league, personality isn't a liability. It's leverage. And if one quarterback is stacking clean film while the other is explaining quotes, perception begins to tilt, whether anyone admits it publicly or not. But perception alone doesn't decide roster spots. Roster math does. Strip away the commentary, forget the podcasts, ignore the fan polls. Go back to the tape. Because quarterback competitions eventually come down to one brutal truth. The ball either changes hands or it doesn't. Shedeur Sanders, 14 of 23, 157 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Dillon Gabriel, 13 of 18, 144 total yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 turnovers, 1 pick six, and 1 fumble credited to him. That's not dramatic analysis, that's math. And in August, math is everything. Coaches can forgive a rookie mistake. They can live with a missed throw. What they don't tolerate is giving the football away. Turnovers lose jobs faster than incomplete passes ever will. Now, to be fair, Gabriel started sharp. 8 of his first 9 passes were completions. That shows rhythm. That shows he can operate within structure. It proves he's capable of managing an offense. But the NFL doesn't grade quarterbacks only on their first 9 throws. It grades the moments that swing games. The pick six, that's the kind of play that gets replayed in quarterback meetings twice. 2 receivers drifting into the same window means you live to fight another down. You don't force it. You don't compound it. That's QB fundamentals. And then there's the fumble on the botched exchange. Yes, shared responsibility. Running backs and quarterbacks both own that space. But the stat sheet doesn't split blame. It lands in one column. And columns matter. In tight competitions, the negative plays weigh heavier than the highlights. Because when 2 rookies are battling for a limited number of spots, the margin isn't wide. It's razor thin. And here, where it gets uncomfortable, if the numbers were flipped, the entertainer narrative would be louder. But they aren't flipped. Right now, the scoreboard favors production with discipline over flashes with mistakes. And in Cleveland, that matters more than any press conference quote ever will. But stats aren't the only layer shaping this decision. Scheme and roster reality are closing in next. Now let's talk football reality, not Twitter debates, not nightcap opinions, actual roster construction. Because quarterback battles aren't just about who throws the prettier spiral. They're about who fits the system long term. Dillon Gabriel is listed at 511. On paper, that's fine. In practice, it changes things. Height doesn't determine greatness, but it does influence your menu. Shorter quarterbacks often live in shotgun. You move the pocket more. You design clearer sightlines. You shrink certain route concepts over the middle because passing lanes tighten. It can absolutely work. Baker Mayfield proved that. Drew Brees made a Hall of Fame career out of it. But the playbook adjusts. With Shedeur Sanders, the playbook doesn't need to shrink as much. You keep more launch points. You maintain deeper drop concepts. You don't have to manufacture as many clean windows. That flexibility matters across 17 games. Now add age to the conversation. Gabriel is 24 years old with 6 college seasons under his belt. UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon. That's experience. That's thousands of snaps. That's exposure to big games. But it's also mileage. This isn't a 21-year-old raw prospect. This is a seasoned college veteran entering the league with a clearer ceiling projection. Development windows are shorter when the player is older. Shedeur Sanders represents something different. Fresh system entry, younger developmental curve, more room for physical and schematic growth. That doesn't mean better, it means different trajectory. And trajectory matters in QB2 decisions. Because here's the hidden layer most fans ignore. Teams don't carry 4 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster unless something unusual is happening. If Cleveland keeps 3, somebody is out. And stashing a quarterback on the practice squad, that's a gamble. Other teams watch waiver wires closely. If they believe in your player, they can take him. So this isn't just about who wins the preseason rep battle. It's about who fits the long-term chessboard. Steady short game operator, or broader scheme flexibility with higher upside. That's the decision quietly forming behind closed doors. And when roster math enters the conversation, things get even tighter. Here, where the conversation gets uncomfortable. Quarterback battles aren't decided in a vacuum. Yes, coaches say best man wins, and most of the time they mean it. But in the NFL, best includes more than just completion percentage. It includes future planning, salary structure, fan engagement, organizational vision. Let's zoom out. Andrew Berry didn't accidentally draft Shedeur Sanders. That wasn't a random flyer. That was a calculated 5th-round value pick with upside, buzz, and production attached. Kevin Stefanski is coaching for wins right now. But ownership, the Haslams feel every quarterback swing this franchise makes. Cleveland has lived through instability for years. Every QB decision echoes longer here than it would in Kansas City or Buffalo. So when you evaluate this battle, you can't pretend perception doesn't matter. If 88% of fans believed Gabriel's comment was shade, you better believe that clip circulated inside the building. Players saw it. Veterans noticed it. Quarterbacks are expected to command rooms, not complicate them. Leadership tone matters. You don't have to be loud, but you do have to be aware. And right now, Shedeur Sanders has done something subtle but important. He hasn't escalated anything. No clapbacks. No defensive pressers. No social media reaction. He let the tape speak. That restraint carries weight in a quarterback room. Because here's the hidden layer. Politics inside an NFL building aren't loud, they're quiet currents. If ownership believes they may have found long-term upside in Sanders, that belief influences patience. If the fan base leans toward one direction, that energy becomes real. Coaches don't ignore that. General managers don't ignore that. This isn't about favoritism. It's about trajectory. Gabriel brings experience, structure, familiarity, and real college production. Over 16,000 passing yards across 6 seasons. That resume commands respect. No one is pretending he can't play. But the NFL clock isn't gentle. You don't get unlimited development time. You don't get infinite chances to correct turnovers. And when one rookie stacks touchdowns while the other stacks explanations, momentum starts leaning. This battle has moved beyond preseason stats. Now it's about direction. And direction defines franchises. Let's address the core of it. Entertainers versus competitors. That phrase sounds clean, strong, old school, tough. But in 2025, it feels outdated. Because the NFL has always been entertainment. Michael Jordan entertained. Kobe Bryant entertained. Steph Curry celebrates before the net even snaps. Floyd Mayweather sold fights before he won them. And Deion Sanders built a Hall of Fame career blending showmanship with shutdown defense. Entertainment never canceled competition. It amplified it. That's what makes the label so interesting. Calling someone an entertainer today doesn't sting the way it used to. Sometimes it sounds like discomfort with personality, comfort in front of cameras, comfort with visibility. Shedeur Sanders grew up under lights. Cameras followed him before he could legally drive. Microphones aren't foreign to him. But cameras don't complete slants. Production does. And when he stepped onto the preseason field, he produced 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, calm command. That's not hype, that's math. The idea that you must choose between being visible and being serious doesn't match the modern league. Today's quarterbacks build brands in real time. Nil changed the culture. Social media changed the culture. Players don't shrink anymore. They command. Command the huddle. Command the moment. Command the narrative. And here's the truth. If defenses fear you and fans pay to watch you, that's not a contradiction. That's leverage. If entertainer was meant as a slight, it may have accidentally revealed something else. Hesitation around a player who can win on the field and win the narrative off it. Because right now, Shedeur Sanders isn't loud. He isn't reckless. He isn't chasing headlines. He's stacking clean drives. And in an NFL quarterback room, that's the only language that truly lasts. Now the question isn't who talks better. It's who finishes drives when the lights come on again. This isn't just about 2 rookies fighting for preseason reps. This is about direction. Cleveland has lived through quarterback instability for years. Draft picks, trades, resets, hope cycles. The fan base isn't guessing anymore, they're evaluating. Because landing the right quarterback doesn't just win games. It flips rosters. It resets culture. It erases years of instability. And that's why this battle matters more than it looks. If you zoom out, this is Gabriel versus Sanders. It's philosophy versus philosophy. Do you lean toward safe and steady? Or do you lean toward dynamic and productive? Do you prioritize experience and hope the turnovers clean up? Or do you invest in upside, scheme flexibility, and early efficiency? Because right now, the scoreboard says something simple. Shedeur Sanders turned possessions into points. Dillon Gabriel gave points away. Touchdowns win jobs. Turnovers lose them. That's not narrative, that's NFL math. But there's another layer: ownership, front office strategy, future planning, salary cap logic, fan engagement. All of it blends together. Andrew Berry didn't accidentally draft Shedeur. That was intentional value. A 5th-round swing with upside and buzz. Kevin Stefanski isn't coaching for patience. He's coaching to win now. And the Browns won't carry 4 quarterbacks when cut-down day arrives. History says that's rare. Someone will be the odd man out. And when that decision comes, it won't be based on press conference tone. It'll be based on film. Which rookie protected the football? Which rookie commanded the huddle? Which rookie looked like the future, instead of just depth. Because once a quarterback seat is taken in the NFL, it rarely reopens. And Cleveland knows that better than anyone. The next snap won't just be another preseason rep. It might decide the trajectory of this franchise. Now we're at the part that really matters. The talking is done. The clips have gone viral. The polls say 88% of fans think it was shade. The debate shows have picked sides. None of that decides the depth chart. Saturday does. Because in the NFL, press conferences fade. Film lasts. Dillon Gabriel has an opportunity now, and it's a big one. He can reset the narrative in 4 quarters. Clean drives, no turnovers, smart decisions in tight windows. Protect the football and let the stat sheet breathe. That's how you silence noise. But here's the pressure. He doesn't just need a decent outing. He needs a cleaner one than the guy across the room. Because right now, Shedeur owns the cleaner tape. 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, calm command, no panic throws. That travels inside a building. Coaches notice who protects the football. Veterans notice who doesn't flinch. Quarterback rooms notice who lets the work speak. And cut on day isn't sentimental. The Browns are unlikely to carry 4 quarterbacks. History says that's rare air. If they try to stash someone on the practice squad, they risk losing him. Other teams watch waiver wires like hawks. So someone will be squeezed out. And here's the reality nobody wants to say. Once a rookie QB grabs real momentum, it's hard to pull it back. If Shedeur stacks another efficient performance, this competition stops being theoretical. It becomes directional. It becomes future planning. And if Gabriel answers back with a flawless performance, then the battle tightens again. But this is the NFL. There are no moral victories. There are only 2 columns that matter. Points created, points surrendered. One rookie is currently positive in that margin. One is. The next game won't just be another preseason rep. It's leverage. It's trajectory. It's possibly the moment Cleveland decides which quarterback represents its next chapter. And once that chapter starts, it won't rewind.